Well, new information on a story we've been following closely on Happening Now. Jesse Matthew Jr. is charged with murdering 2 Virginia college students, and now he's expected to enter a guilty plea in both cases. You'll remember these cases. Morgan Harrington, a Virginia Tech student, and Hannah Graham, a University of Virginia student, both disappeared, and their remains were later found. In October 2009, Morgan disappeared after a Metallica concert in Charlottesville. Her body was found 3 months later. In 2014, Hannah Graham disappeared after a night out with friends in Charlottesville. Her body was found 5 weeks later. Police called Matthew a person of interest in Hannah's disappearance, and he was arrested after fleeing to Galveston, Texas. Shortly after that, Virginia police say they found evidence connecting him to Morgan Harrington's murder, and so the pieces came together. In February of last year, prosecutors filed first-degree murder charges against him and Hannah Graham's death. In September that same year, Matthew is indicted for Morgan Harrington's murder. And yesterday, all of a sudden, the prosecutor announced that Matthew will take a plea deal for both cases. His trial in the Hannah Graham case is scheduled to begin in July. His second trial for the murder of Morgan Harrington is scheduled for October. Guilty pleas will likely take the death penalty off the table for Matthew, who, by the way, is currently serving 3 life sentences for the rape and attempted murder of another woman in Northern Virginia. Joining me now, Fox News legal analyst Lis Wiehl and criminal defense attorney Bob Bianchi. It's great to have you both on these cases. Here, we've talked about these cases for years, looking for justice for these families. Lis, is this justice? Why now?
Well, why now? Because he's already admitted to one of the murders, and that he admitted to that with an Alford plea. And what I want to tell you about an Alford plea, it's a very strange thing. It means that you admit to the prosecution that the prosecution, if they were to go to trial, could put enough evidence in front of a jury to convict you, but you're not admitting to the guilt. So it's kind of a slimy way, and I think Bob would say, hey, you know, in New Jersey and New York, we don't even do that here in New Jersey or New York, but in Virginia, they do allow what's called an Alford plea. So it's kind of a slimy way to admit to guilt, but you're not actually admitting to it. Yet it makes it easier for the prosecution to get that conviction.
Does it change the outcome, Bob, depending on what sort of plea that you figure out between the prosecution and defense? The Alford plea, by the way, was in that 2005 case that led to the life sentences. But for these particular cases, what sort of deal are we looking at?
It's a terrible deal. As a former homicide prosecutor and a person who made these calls on homicide cases when I was the head prosecutor, I would never plea bargain a murder case, period. I would go to trial, and if we had to lose the case, we'd lose it. But get this. Here's the thing, Jenna. Even if they went to trial and they lose the case, he would get a life sentence for these 2 murders. He's serving a life sentence right now, so the prosecution gave 2 murders away here. They should have tried this case. They should have sought the death penalty, and they basically, in my opinion, sold this out, and this victim and this victim's family are only going to get life sentences he's serving anyway. He only has 1 life. He's got 3 life sentences from the previous case, and now he's going to get more life sentences, so he got these 2 murders for free. They should never have pled this case out.
Well, apparently the families are on board with this, Lis, and one has to wonder who this does really benefit in all of this. At the end of the day, these families would have to go through those trials as well, and maybe they just don't want to do it.
Well, Bob's correct, though, because the families are on board with this. The only reason that you would give this away, in my estimation, I agree with Bob, is if you would say, hey, you know, the families just didn't want to go through with this, or you'd have a chance to lose. But under Virginia law, as long as you got the guilty conviction, as long as you got the conviction on the books, you don't have to get all the jurors saying, yes, it should be death, because even if the jurors couldn't agree to death, then it goes to the judge, and the judge has to give life sentence.
A quick question for Bob. So we have a case in 2005, we have a case in 2009, and another one in 2014. One has to wonder about this guy and what he was doing in the years between those cases.
Look,
does this impact the ability of investigators to try to implicate him in other cases to find answers to mysteries that we don't have answers to yet?
This has been the only thing that I've ever seen by giving this kind of deal, is that if he has other murders and he is cooperating with law enforcement to solve those other cases, let's not forget here, the family said, quote, we're not fist pumping over this and we want to take it to the end, but, you know, I guess it's the deal we have to take. The family is not overboardedly excited about this case. So if he's got other murders and he's helping the law enforcement, well, that may be a legitimate reason to give these 2 murders away. so the families have closure. This makes no sense. This was a slam dunk case under Virginia law. Virginia has the third highest rate of death executions, the first in the state, in the country overall. The laws are very favorable to the prosecution. Why they did this, I have absolutely no idea. They should have just given it to the jury.
Yeah, but Bob, it's 2016 now. We would have known about what he has done, I think. If he's given any information away to get other bad guys, I think we would have known. We would have some estimation about what he's done to get other bad guys.
And I agree with you, Lis, and that's exactly why this makes absolutely no sense. This guy has essentially been allowed to have 2 murders for free. As a prosecutor, if there was a case for the death penalty, this is the case. And this is what gets me worried about the death penalty. People have been prosecuted and executed for far less than this guy. And this is one of the arguments why people want the death penalty off the record, because some people, in particular minorities and other people, get executed for lesser crimes. This guy has 2 murders and is already serving a life sentence, and he gets off. It doesn't
and
make any
remorse. And showing no remorse.
Not
showing
yet.
absolutely no remorse.
That's and of course, and fleeing. We should also mention as well. Bob and Lis, it's an interesting case. A case is coming to maybe a conclusion. We'll see from this point on. Great to have you both. Thank you.